Morning, it's August 24th today, and we're in First Corinthians chapter 15. And here Paul is talking with Corinthians about the resurrection and especially about resurrection bodies. And it seems that he must have had some kind of question from them about this, that they had some concern about what a resurrection body would be like. And there would be no surprise with that, especially if there's some connection to Judaism because there was an ongoing debate within Judaism about whether or not there was a resurrection or an afterlife and what that exactly looked like. And we know that Jesus dealt with that quite often. He had people ask him questions and even ridiculous questions at times about that in order to try to trap him in some things, but in order to make him choose sides in the debate, I guess, as well. But here Paul's addressing it. And he says that he actually addresses it pretty generally, although there's quite a bit of space given to it. But he is basically saying that we don't really know what kind of resurrection body we will have. It will be different than what we have. And I think that's a helpful insight for us that we probably can't even conceive of the kind of bodies that we will have. Although Jesus himself, of course, had a resurrection body, and people got to spend some days with him after the resurrection. But I don't know that we fully grasp what that was like. And there's a really helpful story that was related in Liberating Ministry from the Success Syndrome in one of the last chapters. And it's one that comes from Joe Bailey, although it's recorded here from Kent Hughes. And Joe Bailey wrote this kind of story parable about two youngsters in the womb before they're being born, babies in the womb, and they're having a debate about what it's going to be like once they get out, and what will the outside world look like, and they have no way of conceiving of what their mother will be, or what it'll be like to walk and breathe air and not have their umbilical cords, and all those things that they're imagining, but they really have no idea because they have no experience with it, nor do they really have the capacity to understand that yet. It'll be completely different than what they've experienced to that point. And I think we kind of have to have that view towards heaven too. We have some glimpses, we have some maybe brief descriptions about what heaven's like. We know that it's wonderful. We know that it's God centered and that it is without pain or sin or death anymore. And those are good things. But generally, we know very little about what our experience of heaven will be like. And I think that even if we were told in detail what it would be like, we wouldn't be able to fathom it or understand it. So I think it's best, actually. Well, obviously, Scripture knows what's best, but God knows what's best to record in Scripture for us. But it's best to be content with what little we have, and best that He not reveal too much to us because we would just go with our own speculations beyond that. So I think the vagueness is actually helpful to us. And so that's what Paul does here too with the Corinthians. He gives them a vague understanding of the fact that there is a spiritual body that we will have, the imperishable body, but he doesn't really give a lot of details about what that is like, partly because we can't understand it, I think, at this point. All right, that's enough for today. We'll see you again tomorrow.